It is 24 degrees Celsius this overcast day on in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. But if you're looking for the sun, we're right here. Sunrise Daily, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. Good morning and welcome. I'm Maupe Ogunyusu.
I'm Kayla Megwa. It's raining.
It is.
Heavy rain. We thank God for the rain. But, you know, it's one of those times of the year when the rain shows us what mistakes have been made when it comes to construction, when it comes to housing and things like that. It's a recurring decimal. We go through it every single year, but now it's important that everyone be a little bit more careful when it comes to construction, where you live, and things like that. The NIMET has been releasing a lot of messages to us from time to time, telling people who live on floodplains to move. It's time to move from those kinds of places. But hey, it's another beautiful morning, and we're here to give you exactly what's been going on in our country. Yesterday, we saw what happened with the courts.
Well, Kayla, just before we move to the courts,
after we finished talking about it in the morning.
You said something about mistakes that we make in construction. I think it goes beyond mistakes. I think it actually tests what it is that we've done.
Test our infrastructure.
Yeah, test the infrastructure.
Yes.
Have we really done something solid, or have we done something that would only last one rainy season? But yes, a big season we're in right now, Kayla, not just about the rains, but also politically speaking, and this is talking about just what you're saying, the deregistration of ADC and court matters. Others. Yes. Perhaps I should let you lead on this. Go ahead.
You know what? Yesterday when we were talking about it, we were looking at Justice Peter Lifu. We had Judicial on the program, and Judicial was saying, look, that this had to be investigated, you know. So it wasn't shocking, really, when we saw from the Court of Appeal, because, you know, they had a stay of execution.
Indeed.
And they were supposed to hear that in that particular case in October. So it did feel a little off. And, you know, not just people who are supporters of the president or people who are opposing the president. No, just generally, it looked a little off. So, you know, it wasn't shocking, really, when we saw the Court of Appeal making that particular statement yesterday. And the words...
Pretty strong.
Very strong words.
Very strong.
Judicial rascality, not fit for the bench, and those kinds of statements that were made. It does, you know, our judicial system is one that the Nigerian people need to trust. And listening to that statement there from the appeal court really got me to think about how our judges and people in that particular sector need to be a bit more circumspect. They need to be calmer and wiser when it comes to these very delicate decisions.
I think that, you know, it's important for us to tell our viewers that the problem wasn't so much the judgment itself, but the fact that there was already a case at the Court of Appeal, and that this was supposed to have been taken into cognizance when Justice Peter Lifu reached his decision. As a matter of fact, it ought not to have continued hearing the case because it was already at the Court of Appeal. And I think that's what the lordships took very strong objection to, because according to him, according to them, they said that the appellate court held that Justice Lifu's action amounted to an affront on the hierarchy of courts. It held that the lower court's action was the highest form of judicial impertinence. Very strong words, stressing that the Supreme Court previously held that a judge who acted in such a manner is unfit for the bench as it amounts to judicial rascality. Those are very, very strong words. And I think if I were Justice Peter Lifu, I'll be very worried if this is coming from their lordships. Don't forget that there are some who have now said that you know, they were going to approach the National Judicial Council. But if you now have this sort of judgments coming from their lordships, don't forget that the Court of Appeal is not just one person. They're usually a number of judges sitting together. And if they unanimously reached a judgment like this, and this is judicial impertinence, and I do think that Justice Peter Lifu now needs to be very worried. So, but this certainly is a huge relief for the ADC, for Accord Party, for ZLP, and a host of other parties whose fates were hanging in the balance prior to this judgment given by the Court of Appeal. And I think that it's a good thing that it's come very swiftly. I think for me that's been the surprise. I'm always saying, well, people talk about how things last long and last forever and ever. The politicians, I don't know what they do, but they seem to get there. We have a way around, you know, making sure that these wheels of justice turn very swiftly.
So just so we can get, it was Justice Abba Muhammad that led the three-man panel of the appellate court. And very strong words, like you said, were given there to Justice Lifu. And he says an affront. In fact, that's another part of this. They are an affront on the hierarchy of courts. Because remember that Justice Peter Lifu's court is lower than the appellate court. So that's an issue in itself. And then talking about the relief that it was, I think one of the biggest reliefs, apart from the ADC, was the Osun State governor. Because
a court party, yes,
a court party,
certainly.
Yes, because you know that particular judgment by Justice Peter Lifu threw a lot of things in the air, and we all stay wondering what can be salvaged, what can be salvaged, you know. So very big relief for a lot of people, but still very angry at the fact that this even happened in the first place. And I you know, that call for an investigation by the Judicial Council is by many quarters. IPAC is asking for it. We're seeing other political parties, those that were not even affected by that particular judgment, saying that some investigation needs to happen and this cannot be allowed to continue in our courts.
So it's unclear if we're going to see, you know, more on this particular matter, but we do know that the Judicial Council takes a sweet time, you know, to reach certain to carry out its investigations and reach certain decisions. So we certainly will keep our ears to the ground. If we hear anything, we certainly will let you know. But we're staying on that matter this morning, and we're going to be joined by a chieftain of the ADC. We're hoping that we'll get information that he is right on with us. He's joining us virtually this morning. We have Mr. Dele Momodu, who's the chieftain of the African Democratic Congress. We're hoping to get the signal that he is now on with us virtually. But while we wait for that, perhaps we will take a break and come back to discuss this deregistration. Now, there'll be questions as to, was there really a matter at hand? Because as I did say, it's important for us to make the distinction. The problem wasn't so much that that part of the law wasn't properly interpreted. No, the problem was that there was an affront on the hierarchy of courts, and that's why their lordships were pretty surprised as to the actions of Justice Peter Lifu. So we'll take a look at that. You know, if it was to be taken wholesomely, would there be any meat in this case when eventually the appeal court takes a look at it? When we come back from this break, please stay with us. Welcome back. Indeed, we did tell you that Mr. Dele Momodu will be joining us soon, and indeed, he's online with us. It's good to see you, and it's good to hear your voice, at least if we can't see you just yet. Mr. Dele Momodu is the chieftain of the African Democratic Congress. I wonder how the, the ruling by their lordships yesterday, how did it hit the camp of the African Democratic Congress?
Let me say that on the personal way, because anyone who knows how these things work would have known that there is no way that judge, you know, I don't want to disparage anyone this early morning. There was no way he could have gotten away with the rascality of his judgment. I've watched practically most of the programs on television since I came back to Nigeria yesterday, and I've not seen one person who had something good to say about that judgment, except, of course, the enemies of Nigeria. Nigeria has been in turmoil since 1993. You know, at a time, some fellow Nigerians also attempted such rascality in the past. So to think that we just celebrated June 12th a couple of days ago, and we're plunging Nigeria into the same scenario is unthinkable. And to think that the President and Commander-in-Chief of Nigeria at this moment is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who fought, you know, previously against this type of nonsense in the past. He's the one in the saddle today. And if he is watching or listening to this, My appeal to him once again, I've appealed repeatedly, we were together in exile, is that nothing is worth plunging your country into absolute chaos. I know some people will tell him, yes, you should go ahead with all their plans. They have different plans towards 2027 that we are aware of. But all we can do as powerless Nigerians is to appeal to them to stop their plans against Nigeria. Let everybody contest. Anybody wants to contest, they know that their defenders will come here and say, no, they are not involved. It's not their fault. It's not the witch cried yesterday. The child dies today. Who doesn't know that it's the witch of yesterday that killed the child? That is my approach to it. So I'm happy that we still have some great men and women in the judiciary who will not allow the ambition of anyone to destroy their end reputation. They went to school, they went to law school, they went everywhere, practiced law before they became judges, and they will not allow one man, who whether he likes it or not, to leave power one day to destroy everything that they have built.
You know, it's interesting that you say this because some lawyers will argue. Let's not forget that it wasn't the president who went to court. It was a body of former legislators or something to that effect, some body that went to court asking for this particular judgment. But before now, the issue about the deregistration of parties and the constitutional requirements for parties, whether or not they'll continue to be political parties, has been on the ground. People asking, you know, whether the political parties as we currently have them, some of them are still, you know, able to continue according to the dictates of the Constitution. So some people say, while that is being argued, because it would seem that what their lordships have given is a reprieve. It's not exactly a justification for the parties. How would you respond to that?
A reprieve, yeah, that's fine. But there are copious examples presented in the law courts and in the public courts. They are available that there was no justification for deregistering those parties. For example, they said they didn't have anyone who has won any election, but there are copious examples out there, you know. So it's a reprieve, but then why is Justice Levy, why is he jumping the gun? There is a superior court. There is hierarchy in the law courts. So why would you not respect that hierarchy? It's contemptuous. It's the contempt of court and the judicial process. Like I said, nobody can hide behind one finger. They can continue to pretend. Who are these people? Have you ever heard of them? You are a citizen journalist. Now, you are a citizen journalist. Have you ever heard of this group before until recently when they started coming out of their forest of 1,000 demons? You know, so, and their demonic approach to Nigeria is why everybody rose up quickly, stoutly against them and chased them back into the grooves where they came from. You know, so it doesn't make any sense that every time we have a major election coming, then these people come up with their shenanigans. That was that June 12th, started like they go. On the eve of June 12th, some people tried to stop the election, the best election that ever held in Nigeria. And when they couldn't stop it, then it was eventually annulled. But now, Nigerians are awake, fully awake, and let's thank young Nigerians in particular, who will not tolerate some of the things that we tolerated in the past. You can see them everywhere, going out on the streets, despite the danger, attendant danger. You know, and we just must do what is right. You cannot just deregister a party because you want to contest against yourself. It doesn't make any sense to me. And it's an appeal. They don't have to take it. They don't have to listen. They can go ahead and then let Nigeria go to Golgotha for all they care. But we know the repercussions. The ultimate repercussions will come if they don't put a stop to this pace towards anarchy. Because it's anarchical if one man will be the one on the ballot, and then they go and get some people that they are so sure cannot beat them, and then create a charade of, yes, we had an election. It's not a one-party thing. We saw it even in APC. We saw it in their own family.
Mr. Dele Momodu, I want to get you to talk about something that the leader of your party, the ADC, just said, Mr. David Mark. He said, contrary to public perception, it's not our party. That's the ADC. He says it's not the ADC that is on trial. It's actually the judiciary that is on trial. And he says, how will the NJC, that's the Judicial Council, handle this precarious situation? He says that is where we are right now with the conversation, is how will the NJC handle this particular matter? What do you think should happen going forward? Since the appellate court has already made this statement, what should the NJC be doing in your view?
What I love about this is that even the appellate court spoke better than we would have spoken. They actually gave a blistering condemnation of the judgment and the judge. So, of course, the NJC knows right now that an average Nigerian hardly believes that he will get justice. And if we will not get justice in the law court, so where do we go? That's why I said it becomes anarchical. Anywhere in the world where you hang the judiciary, then ultimately there will be chaos. So I believe that we have fingered a couple of judges who are notorious for this kind of rascally judgment. And I think it is now the duty and responsibility of the NJC to call them to order and to sanction them appropriately. They must be sanctioned. The reason they do it is that they keep getting away with it. On the eve of an election, right now, on the eve of this election, we see government building houses for judges, rushing houses for judges. No, they should wait and let the election pass. It's just about 6-7 months away. So that nobody will accuse them of trying to bribe the judges. But we know that these guys are reckless. They don't care about Nigeria. It's all about them remaining in power. So whoever is advising or misadvising the president in particular, I keep talking about the president, because the one who will take full account and responsibility for this on Judgment Day, they should put a stop to this speedily and immediately.
I mean, we'll get to that point that you just made in a bit, but I want to get you to talk about the case that's coming up in October. All right, so we've crossed this hurdle, but you do have, as a party, another case in October that the appeal court is going to be hearing. Maybe you could talk us through what that's going to be and what the hopes of the party will be about that case coming up in October.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not competent to speak about a case that is forthcoming in court. But we are very confident. I've said it elsewhere on a different interview platform that, look, judges are human beings. They are not masquerades from heaven. They see, they hear, and they know everything that is going on. They are human beings. They have families. They have children who will come home and challenge them. Why are you doing this to your country? So anybody, ADC has no problem. Only a few guys, yes, okay, they may be dissatisfied or disgruntled, I don't know the better word to use. They are the ones who are creating this chaos. One of them I know very well is Naburo, is someone that I really love, you know, Dumebi Kachiku. And I personally went to his office to see him, to talk to him. He gave me his reasons and everything. But those reasons are not enough. to cause chaos in a country. Personal reasons are not enough reasons. So, like I said, I cannot speak about it because it is in court, but I know that just like they failed in 1993 to use the judiciary, they will also fail this time. So Tinubu would have to come out himself and say, I don't want to contest against anybody. I want to contest only against myself. Then so that would be another annulment. But all these hanky-panky of hiding behind one finger, saying, no, I am not involved, it is the fault of the... How can one man or two men become a faction of a party? So these are the booby traps that they set for opposition. And you can see that the booby traps are going around, in all the political parties. So it's the same thing they've done, and it's going to be very unfortunate if they continue. But I know that the judges are watching very carefully. And now nobody wants to end his career with ignominy.
It's a very trying time, and like the leader of the ADC said just a few minutes ago, that he says it's the judiciary that is on trial right now because everyone is looking at them, and their reputation is very crucial to the dispensation of justice and the perception of the dispensation of justice in Nigeria. But for many pundits who are looking at the situation, they would say all is not yet well with the ADC because of that case. But like you said, we'll be watching to see how it unfolds. But prior to that, I did listen to you take issue with some of the housing for the judges. I mean, this is something that has been going on, quite controversial. People have been talking about it. And I just heard you mention that you felt this shouldn't have been done right now. Of course, we saw that happen maybe a few days ago, I think yesterday here in the FCT. So what are your thoughts? You said just before we asked you the last question, you said you didn't think that they should be building those houses right now. You think those houses should have come after the election. Maybe you can expand on that thought process.
Oh, of course, they are Greek gifts. They are Greek gifts. And even the judges themselves, for the sake of fairness and fair play, should not accept such Greek gifts at this moment. We know who is building, is my good friend here from Wike. We know he will not back off or back down. But we know that one day all these things will come back to haunt Nigeria. Nigerians have gone through so much. And we plead again, I use the word, plead with them to forget about bribing any judge with houses. It doesn't make sense. Like I said, it's just 6-7 months away to the general elections. So let us conduct the elections in peace, and then they can then give their gifts to whoever pleases them. But this is not the best time to do this.
Well, before now, I mean, even though some people will also say, I mean, is there a best time to do well by our judges? Let's not forget that these houses were not built overnight. There would have been time taken to, reconstruct them, etc., etc. And this is just the commissioning. So the timing, is it really about what it is that you suggest it is, or is it that there would have been no other time? Because if you're doing this after elections, if you do it before elections, we're talking about the welfare of an entire arm of government here. Isn't that what we're talking about?
The energy and resources being pumped into these houses should be pumped elsewhere, especially the scandalous insecurity that has virtually engulfed every part of Nigeria. That should be our priority. Our bad roads are in solid states. I'm sure there are many parts of Abuja. If it's Remi, it's just Abuja. There are many parts of Abuja that needs more focus than the judges. I'm not saying the judges don't deserve to live in beautiful houses. We all aspire to live in good homes. But I am saying that doing it on the eve of the general election, in which the judges will play major roles, suggests to me that there is more to it than meets the ordinary eye. So I am repeating it. The judges can wait another 9 months to 1 year before collecting their houses. Now you can see the frenetic manner they are going about trying. They are going there to supervise. They are in a hurry. Let them supervise insecurity in Abuja. People are being kidnapped. People are being killed. Let them supervise that. Let we take go. I'm sure we can fix our security. He's a very bold, courageous, brave man.
All right, so, Mr. Momodu, let me quickly take you back to the issue of this judgment, because some people, we've had some senior lawyers, senior advocates of Nigeria intervene in this matter. We have the opinion of Mr. Sam Kargbo, SAN, and also Kayode Ajulo, who is the current Attorney General in Ondo State, who intervened on this matter as well. They believe that the judgment was constitutional. Never mind, yes, that it was out of order, out of turn. But the thing that when you look at the matter itself, you know, there is weight to it. Do you really think that when your lordship sit on this matter, because what a number of people say you have right now is reprieve. This matter has not been taken a look at in toto. Do you think that it will stand the test of time, scrutiny? Do you think it will stand it?
With all due respect to our learned friends, especially Kayode Ajulo, the Attorney General of Ondo State, who is my very dear brother and friend. I read what he wrote yesterday. He sent me his post on that. What you should know about law, there is no case that a lawyer cannot defend. In fact, if you ask me, I will tell you that that's one of the weaknesses of the legal profession. The fact that law allows you to defend anything, even if outrightly ridiculous sometimes. I read his statement and I disagree with him. I was going to call him today to say, Kayode, please, I know, yes, you are a member of the ruling party, APC. Yes, I know you are very brilliant and you are good in sophistry and everything. But please, for the sake of Nigeria, let's not go there. Let's not go there. You cannot justify perfidy. No. And anybody, and I know he's very conscious about his future. I have known him since he was a very young man. I've worked with his dad before. And so, this thing is more than political. It's about patriotism. We must all rise up and refuse to encourage Asiwaju to take a wrong road. Nobody is closer to the Asiwaju than me. I'm telling you. So I'm telling you, I will never follow him down this road. No. We saw it before our very eyes in 1993, and here we go again.
Well, it's interesting all of this is coming just days after the June 12 celebrations, but we'll see how matters eventually proceed. We have to thank you very much for speaking with us on Sunrise early this morning, even though we couldn't see your face. Mr. Dele Momodu.
I don't know what happened, you know, it's raining dogs and cats in Lagos.
Oh, as it is in Abuja.
I don't know, yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm happy to speak to you always. I haven't seen you in a while. So,
indeed. We look forward to seeing you too very soon in our studios.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking with us this morning. Mr. Dele Momodu is a chieftain of the African Democratic Congress. Thank you once more. Well, we take a break now. When we come back, we'll be looking at the state of security. Yesterday, we heard that the NIPS, as the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, was attacked in Kuru in Jos. And of course, we also still know that our children who have been held captive by terrorists and bandits are yet to return in both Oyo and Borno State. Will state police really be the solution in this regard? We'll be having that conversation when we come back from this break.